In 43rd place, or last, is going to be the Deutsche Fußball, excuse the German accent, CMF line. Now, obviously, I don't have a whole lot to say here. It's just a bunch of soccer players that all, for the most part, look the same. Now, these soccer balls do look pretty cool, but that's about it. Miles above, in 42nd place, is going to be the Harry Potter Series 1. While it does suffer the same fate that the majority of these do look the same, the Harry Potter with the cape looks incredible, and the Dumbledore also is a standout minifig. I know that there's not a whole lot they could have done for this, but for the most part, they are pretty boring. 2014 brought us the first Lego Movie CMF. William Shakespeare is a pretty solid fig, but by far the best figure out of this lineup has to be the Taco Tuesday guy. That incredible poncho paired with the incredible molded hat make him an easy S tier fig. Unfortunately, the rest of the lineup is pretty boring, which is why this only took the 41st spot. Series 22 released in 2022 and was honestly a bit of a letdown. The first notable fig is the Troubadour with some very nice molds and printing, followed by the Knight Protector, who's an overall just very interesting and unique minifigure. But out of all of these, my favorite will have to be the Snow Guardian. Not only is the figure's printing incredible, he also comes with a sword, a shield, and then a dog on the side. Just one step above Series 22 is Series 21 from 2021. In this series, we receive our second only Centaur. It's a very nice figure, but I would have liked to see a little bit of printing on the horse part. The rest of the figures are pretty bland, but by far the best figure out of this lineup is going to be the Ancient Warrior. He has an incredible head mold with some very nice printing, along with an excellent looking shield. Honestly, one of the most detailed figures we've ever seen. Going all the way back to 2011 is going to be Series 4. This is one of those lineups where there's not a whole lot of bad figures, just not really any that stand out. The Kimono Girl is a very nice detailed fig that can be very useful for any Japan mock. There's not a whole lot to say about this series. The monster, aka Frankenstein, and the Viking Warrior are two pretty solid figures, but honestly wouldn't really stand out compared to the other best figures from other series. Fast forwarding 7 years to 2018 is Series 18, and this is a very strange one because they actually feature orange base plates. All of the figures in this series are really cool and unique, but none of them are particularly interesting to me. The Dragon Suit guy has a really awesome mold, and you can actually find him for pretty cheap on the aftermarket nowadays, definitely worth a pickup. The Unicorn guy also looks super sick with a really cool shield, although I would have preferred it to be a full unicorn instead of just a guy inside of the suit. The Race Car guy is the final cool and unique minifigure. This really stands out from the rest of Series 18. Next, we're going to do a double pack with both of the Simpsons series. I know this is going to be a really hot take because people really love the Lego Simpsons, but personally I've never seen the Simpsons, so I don't have any attachment to it, therefore I really don't care about these CMFs. The reason I put them up this high is because they have some of the most incredible molds that I've ever seen. I'd probably give the Simpsons series 2 the slight edge, but since they're so similar, I put them at 36th and 35th on this list. While Ninjago might be one of Lego's greatest themes, there's no doubt that the CMF line is pretty terrible. All of the Ninjago movie sets are just so goofy, and the CMF line is no different. If Lego was smart, they'd make a real Ninjago CMF line instead of one based only off of the movie. Shout out to the Shark Tank Army General number 1, as well as all of the Garmadon figures in the CMF series. All the figures are super wacky and goofy, making them really stand out from the rest of your typical black and purple Garmadon. In 2024, we saw our second most recent series being Series 26. What makes Series 26 so unique is that it was our first space CMF. While I must admit I don't care about the majority of these figures, there's no doubt that some of them are just simply incredible. It's always a pleasure to receive any translucent pieces, and we see it here with Orion. Then on top of that, we see a really interesting alien Beetlezoid minifigure. But my favorite figure by far is the Flying Saucer costume. The green head mixed with the Flying Saucer helmet piece along with the space-themed torso and legs makes this one a sight to behold. Sneaking into the 32nd spot is the Lego Movie Series 2, significantly better than the first version. We finally receive all of the Wizard of Oz figures and they look so good. Then on top of that, the Giraffe guy is a minifigure unlike we've ever seen before, but unfortunately the rest of them leave a lot to be desired, which is why this only comes in at 32. 2020 brought us Harry Potter Season 2, which was significantly better than Series 1. Unfortunately, Harry Potter is one of the blander themes, meaning there's not a whole lot they can do, but we still did see some very nice figures. Not only did Kinsley Shacklebot feature a very nice hat piece, but the drapes that go over his torso look very nice as well. Dumbledore minifigures never seem to fail. Not only is his printing incredible, the molds are awesome, but he also comes with an animal accessory. Then finishing off the lineup is Professor Sprout. While I'll admit, I have no idea who any of these people are, what I do know is they look freaking awesome. Take me back to 2013, because in the 30th spot is Series 10. Unlike some other series that are super consistent, every figure here is either an absolute heater or an absolute sleeper. I couldn't even tell you half of these existed. We finally make our way into mythology with the introduction of Medusa. She's got an awesome tailpiece that we first saw on the 2012 Ninjago Generals. The Roman commander looks incredible as well and might just be the best European minifigure. Also, shout out to the motorcycle mechanic for his random appearance in Ninjago. Our final standout minifigure is the Warrior Woman with a very nice shield. And you can't even forget Mr. Gold. Yes, for the 10th CMF, LEGO included 10,000 Mr. Gold in one of these sets so that you can have a chance of owning your own, which is now worth over $500. Sneaking into the 29th spot is a very recent CMF with Series 25. To my knowledge, this is the first series to feature a box instead of the typical bag that CMFs come in, so it didn't get a very bad rep, but nonetheless, the figures did not disappoint. The Triceratops costume features a very nice mold, but once again, I wish it was just full-on dinosaur instead of just a costume. The second best figure in the series has to be the Fierce Barbarian. These figures are always great to grow your medieval army. Then of course, the best figure in the series and potentially a top 5 CMF of all time is the Vampire Knight. Not only does he have great printing, but his shield is awesome, his helmet awesome, and he has a very detailed cape. Now let's turn the clock back 13 years to Series 3. First of all, it has this Hawaiian girl that I'll be using as Eve in my Garden of Eden mock, but stay tuned for that. While slightly outdated, the Tribal Chief is another excellent minifigure that we saw from Series 3. But out of all 16 minifigures, you already know the greatest figure has to be the Elf. The dark green, sand green, and dark tan prints all come together very well to make a really nice color scheme. The castle/fantasy figures always seem to take the #1 spot in each series, and this one is no exception. Just last year in 2023 brought us the Marvel CMF Series 2. To be quite frank with you guys, I know nothing about Marvel, I care nothing for Marvel, but there's no doubt that some of these minifigures are absolute heaters. I'm quite fond of the Beast minifigure, Goliath, and of course Moon Knight. If you're a big Marvel fan, I'm sure you would have loved to see this one a lot higher, but unfortunately I could not put it any higher than 27. Next up is Series 11, and well, it is interesting to say the least. This is one of the few series that doesn't have a bad figure. All of them are decent, but unfortunately none of them are crazy good either. The Island Warrior has this really cool mask piece, but unfortunately the figure does show its age a little bit. Both the Gingerbread Man and the Yeti are two other pretty cool figures, but like I said earlier, I just don't think they're that special. If Series 11 had a more standout minifigure, it definitely would have been much higher on this list. In 2020, we saw our one and only, so far, DC CMF. Now, I wanted to put this one a lot higher, but I just couldn't for two reasons. First of all, I just don't care about DC. I don't know who the majority of these people even are. Secondly, these minifigures just look so basic that you can find them in any other DC set. Typically, LEGO goes all out for CMFs, giving them cool molds or really cool prints, but unfortunately, I don't see anything here that I wouldn't see in any other regular set. Just above the DC series is Series 19, which released in 2019. The Monkey King is a very interesting figure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is actually from Monkey Kid. Then some other honorable mentions are the Galactic Bounty Hunter and the Fright Knight, which happens to be one of my favorite castle figures of all time. Marvel Series 1 is taking just a few spots ahead of its predecessor. Now, they just went absolutely all out for this series, and I would have put it a few steps higher had, of course, I cared about Marvel. Some of the incredible figures that we saw are Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, Zombie Captain America, and Vision. While these figures are all absolutely incredible 10 out of 10 figures, unfortunately the other figures that they have to accompany them are some of the most bland and boring figures we've ever seen. If the bottom 6 figures manage to hold even somewhat of the capacity of quality as the top 6 minifigures, Marvel Series 1 would be a top 10 CMF, no questions asked. Interrupting this video to tell you guys, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. It's the best thing you can do to help me out. Also, leave a comment. What's your favorite CMF? I love getting you guys involved in these videos as well. I'm sure you all wanted to know where this one was going to fall, and yes, the OG Series 1 for 2010 is taking the 22nd spot. While some of these figures definitely show their age, there's no doubt that we saw an awesome collection of figs. For example, the Forest Man, the Ninja, the Super Wrestler, or the Robot. Since this is the OG, it's only fitting that it would be the first series to take the top half of the list. Next at 21 and 20, I actually picked two because honestly they're so similar to me and I don't think one is better than the other. First of all, I have the Muppets, and then secondly, I have Looney Tunes. To be honest, I don't care a whole lot of these. I don't own any of these figures, but with how much effort LEGO put in with making new molds for every single one, they are definitely deserving of a higher spot. Series 14 is a super unique CMF line because still to this day, it's the only Halloween themed series. Both the Spider Lady and Wacky Witch both stand out as the best figures, but there are also some other nice ones such as the Werewolf, the Pirate, or Frankenstein. Don't have a whole lot to say about this one, they're cool, but there's only so much you can do with Halloween. Just a few steps ahead of Series 14 is Series 6, releasing in 2012. We saw some absolute classics like the Clockwork Robot, Lady Liberty, a Roman soldier, but my favorite is actually from Greek mythology with the Minotaur. This one's honestly just so out of left field, but I'm really glad we received this figure. Unfortunately, this series suffers the fate of half of the figures being incredible and the other half being incredibly boring. Fast forwarding 10 series, we saw the introduction of Series 16. Now in my opinion, this one is miles ahead of Series 6. Throughout this series, we saw so many incredible figures that are all worthy of a pickup. That being said, it showcases some of my favorites with the Ice Queen and then the Rogue. I particularly love the Rogue because it unlocks so many possibilities for Ranger figures that you could customize. Finally, we have another really recent series with Series 24. Let's start off by saying it has the greatest orc figure LEGO has ever made. Then of course, to combat the orc, we have a falconer with an actual physical falcon. This is a throwback to the OG castle theme. Speaking of throwback, the brown astronaut is another cool figure relating back to ancient space. Overall, just a really solid series with a lot of nostalgia trickled in. The second ever series was definitely a memorable one. First, let's take a look at that mariachi guy. First of all, his hat is super cool, and then he also has a very nice detailed poncho. Next to him is the vampire, which not only gets hit with the double cape treatment, but he also gets a bad accessory. The pharaoh is also a great throw-in that could be great for any Exodus mock. Speaking of ancient history, we have the Spartan warrior. Now this guy is nothing less than incredible. Now this series was a great step up from Series 1 and definitely paved the way for what we have today in CMFs. Coming into the 14th spot is nothing else than Season 8. It featured a couple really nice figures including the alien villainess, the evil robot, and boy, isn't that conquistador beautiful. Very fitting that following Series 8 is Series 9. Here they just hit us with banger after banger with the heroic knight, the forest maiden, and the cyclops. I just absolutely love the effort that they put on all of these figures. They also included a Roman aristocrat, which can be used for a lot of different things, giving it great customization. Also, I think the Battle Mech minifigure looks really similar to the new Master Cole minifigure from Ninjago. Stealing the 12th spot is the Disney 100 series, which LEGO made to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Disney, of course. Some of my favorite figures from this line are the guy from Coco, the Prince John, which could be really great for any medieval town, and then Robin Hood, which is a throwback to the show from the 70s. If you are a huge Disney fan, this line is pretty much a dream come true. Speaking of Disney, taking the 11th spot is Disney Series 2. Now I do think this series has a little bit of wasted potential because the minifigures seem a bit too repetitive, but there are no doubt still some bangers in the line. Overall, it is taking 11 out of 43. Some of my favorite figures are Jack Skellington, Jafar, and then of course Hercules being the best figure out of this series. The amount of detail that went into this guy is just absolutely incredible, and you can pick him up for actually a pretty decent price. Overall, this series was really good, and I hope LEGO continues to give us more classic figures like this in the future. Finally, making our way into the top 10, we have the LEGO Batman Series 2. Typically, the crazier the figure looks, the better it looks, and this definitely applies here. In my opinion, Vacation Joker absolutely steals the show. He just has so much detail and so much cool molding. I also love how the swimsuit Batman comes with a literal dolphin. On top of that, the Clock King minifigure is a really unique one that we've never seen before and we'd probably never see ever again. Something I really don't like is how they basically just released the same minifigure twice. I don't know a whole lot about the Lego Batman movie, so let me know if it's really important to the plot, but I don't know why they couldn't have just included one of these figures. While both of the Lego Batman CMFs are absolutely incredible, I think Series 1 just has the slight edge. Those weird, cool Batman figures alone do it for me. They're all so incredible, but I think the metal Batman has to be my favorite. Honestly, the concept of these Batmans are so weird, but Lego absolutely cooked here. In 8th place is Series 5, and wow, have they nailed consistency. Down to the last figure is good, but my favorites are the Lizard Man, the Gladiator, and the Evil Dwarf. I don't have a whole lot to say about this series, it's just overall very solid. Earning the 7th spot is going to be Series 7, released in 2012. Not only did this series contain many incredible figures with awesome molds, but it also has the iconic Evil Knight. This guy is absolutely decked out and unlike anything we've ever seen. Some other standout figures are going to be the Daredevil and the Viking Woman. As we move on to the 6th spot, we will see Series 15 released in 2015. Half of these figures are absolute heaters, and the other half are respective in their own rights. The Flying Warrior, the Bear Knight, and the Queen are just 3 figures that earned Series 15 the number 6 spot on this list. Cracking the top 5, also released in 2015, is Series 13. As we just saw the Queen, we now see the Classic King, which is also an incredible minifigure. We see a couple of other honorable mention figures, including the Sheriff or the Lady Cyclops, but in my opinion, the Evil Wizard steals the show. Aside from the Safari Girl, there is not a single bad minifigure in this series. Just barely sneaking past Series 13 is Series 12. First of all, let's take a look at that incredible wizard minifigure. He looks exactly like Magisto, just with some incredible printing. Aside from the recent Gandalf, this is hands down the best wizard fig. The Battle Goddess, the Hun Warrior, the Viking, or the Jester could all be the best figure in their own respective series. All leading to the conclusion that Series 12 deserves the number 4 spot. Out of the 43 CMFs that LEGO has released, the third best is going to be Series 7. We saw the Battle Dwarf, which makes an excellent pairing with the Evil Dwarf, the Elf Maiden, and the Retro Space Hero. Don't forget the Corn Guy can be used to make an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to say about Series 7, it's just really dang good. 2016 brought us the first series of Disney minifigures, and yes, it'll be taking the number 2 spot on this list. There's just so much to like about this list. We saw the Genie from Aladdin, Buzz Lightyear, Captain Hook, Maleficent, the list goes on and on. Unlike the second series, which felt a bit repetitive, the selection here is just absolutely perfect. The amount of effort they put into these molds does not go unnoticed. Every figure lacks no detail. Bravo to the LEGO designers for this one, they absolutely hit the spot. Then of course taking the number 1 spot is the most recent CMF, being the Dungeons and Dragons. Every figure here is just so perfect. To be completely honest, this is the series that got me into CMFs and is the reason I'm making this video. If you have not picked these figures up, I will highly recommend it, especially that Dragonborn Paladin. He will be a crazy expensive figure given a couple months. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, I have so many more ranking videos just like this one that you'll also love. Hope you guys have a great day and check out more LEGO videos coming up on the end screen now.